Welcome to the latest episode of 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app on Apple Podcasts, on Android, Spotify, or the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to Off the Floor. That's our Discord server, $2.99 per month. Link right here in the description. The place for the most heat, information, conversation, celebration, consternation. It's all there on Off the Floor. Again, click on the link in the description. You'll bypass the Apple upcharge. Pay it. Check out the 10 channels and the stage shows, and you can cancel at any time. Also, check out Prize Picks. Code there is 5, F-I-V-E. Put down $5, you get $50 to play right away. Prize Picks is the official sponsor of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Again, you put down $5, you get $50 to play right away. Prize Picks, you can play across the sports spectrum, up to 6 players together. And again, you can play the flex play, or you can also play well, it's not called power play anymore, but you can play just about anything. You can play anything on Prize Picks in the state of Florida because it is legal. Again, go to prizepicks.com, use the code FIVE. And now, today's episode.
Mercy, luxurious, Heat Nation, yeah, Mercy and Lago, down to Biscayne, yeah, 5 on the floor. Ride for my dogs, where here's the thing, you can check the score, hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frogs, down to Biscayne, kept the flow playing, got it all band, y'all seen the block, stop with one hand, and Pat we trust, it's power have the guts, we're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
All right, welcome back to 5 on the Floor. Here's today's floor plan. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick at 5 Reasons Sports. I got Greg Sylvander. You can follow him at Greg Sylvander. We're going to do a follow-up episode here. I don't know if you got the opportunity to listen to the episode I did with Alex Toledo about Darius Garland's comments regarding Tyler Herro, that we're going at him, basically, disrespecting Tyler's defense, calling him out by name. Interesting tactic. 2 guys have both played in the SEC, were both drafted in 2019, have both been all-stars as reserves this year. They were all-stars as reserves. And have almost the same career statistics, literally the exact same shooting splits, same field goal percentage, same three-point percentage, same free throw percentage. They're different players. One's a point guard. One's kind of been forced into being a point guard at times by the Heat. But again, they've been the same offensively and defensively. They both have reputations for not being that great. Tyler, we know about the reputation there. Darius Garland, though, if you talk to Cavs fans or you see Cavs fans on Twitter, they have that issue with Darius Garland. And yet Garland went at Herro. It's not the kind of thing you see often. I didn't have a problem with the call out necessarily, Greg, because it adds a little fuel to the fire of what's otherwise not a real interesting series at the moment. But I don't have a problem with that kind of stuff. That's old school. That's fine. Yeah. It just was an odd messenger. That was the thing. Cause it's like, this is not, this is not like prime Marcus Smart or
it's like you do realize we're picking on you too, actually.
Right. It's that I posted today. It's the Spider-Man meme. It's like pointing at each other about each other's defense. It's very odd, and it seems like there's some bad blood here. Like for Garland,
I hope so. It's the playoffs. Like, can we get a little bit of that in this series? When I was watching Detroit and New York the other night, like there's bad blood enough for it to be interesting, and they're down 0-2. If they're not going to show that type of fight in Game 3, then it's not going to show up. So I hope that they come with that type of energy, because that's what you need to scrap back into a series where you're down 0-2. You do have the benefit of 2 home games, and the logic has always been like take care of home court, and then you just got to steal 1. I know that sounds lofty to this Heat team, but you know what? Like maybe this is the type of stuff that you need for some of these guys to step up, because, and you mentioned it on the last episode about that the Heat don't have the type of players that kind of make hard call outs in a series and then back it up. Well, here's Tyler's opportunity to do that as he faces off with Garland. And I have some other thoughts on this that we'll get to later about the future of Tyler Herro and how it relates to looking at Darius Garland. But just initially, I like that there's some chatter, and I hope that it is shown on the court in terms of intensity and don't help anybody up. I don't want to see any of that in this series, even though, there's really not true bad blood between the two teams.
And it's a 1:00 start for Game 3. The Heat are down 2-0, and we know that the crowd's going to be late arriving. I did an interview with Mike McCullough, the Heat's VP of marketing, and he talked about White Hot. That's going to be in the back end of this episode. He talks about trying to be there on time. I said I would leave Friday night just to make sure I'm there. But again, it's Saturday morning. It shouldn't be too bad with the traffic in Miami. Hopefully the security line speeds up a little bit there because that can be a problem there. But again, at least this gives Heat fans somebody to focus on the Cavs. I assume Garland probably will be booed. Those who are paying attention, Garland will probably be booed a little bit more. He's not going to be Joakim Noah or anything like that. This is not that kind of rivalry, but those who want to take up for Tyler may do so. Let me read Tyler's comment. This comes, a couple guys transcribed this from practice today. Tyler Herro, this is from Ira Winderman of the Sun Sentinel. Tyler Herro on Darius Garland's pointed take on his defense. And to go to the media and talk about game plans against the guy kind of says a lot about him. That was part of the quote. The rest of the quote, let me see if I can find the rest of it. He went right back. Bam,
it was funny. He was like Darius Garland. Like he said his completely. It was funny the way that he kind of reapproached it. I know you're going to find the quote.
Yeah, he was very dismissive of it. Let me see if I can find the exact quote. Here we go. Herro says, someone who doesn't play defense, this is from Barry Jackson, like Garland, shouldn't be bad-mouthing his defense. He also added, again, that his decision to go to the media with his remark Wednesday says a lot about him. Let's be clear on this. Garland was not asked about Tyler Herro. He was asked about how they were game planning against Miami. So it's an honest answer. You don't typically hear guys, even though it's obvious what the Cavs have been doing. You don't typically hear guys like, enunciate it the way that Garland did. But I kept saying this on the pod with Alice. It seems, I don't know if they dislike each other. I don't know. I'm not going to go that far. But it seems like it's some kind of competitive thing between the two of them. And I maybe it does go back to Kentucky Vanderbilt.
I have an idea of why.
Why do you think?
I think that when Tyler Herro, as everyone has kind of talked about him being extension eligible soon, I think the measuring stick player, to your point, because you brought up a lot of parallels that I didn't necessarily consider between Garland and Herro being from the same draft and how they may be like reference points to each other of how they are in the hierarchy of the league. One's a 2-time All-Star. The other one has made the All-Star team once, 6th man of the year. There's, lots of different things of each player, but they're kind of in that same tier. And I think Tyler, looking ahead to his next contract, he has to outplay a guy like Garland for the Heat to invest more than what Garland makes. Let's look ahead. Garland makes $39 million, 42, and then 44, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say, Tyler, you can't get more than that. If Garland is hunting you, picking on you, saying it, and then executing it in the game. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how Tyler responds, because there's been moments where he's been a lot better defensively. I know that there's also the lulls and things like that. I don't want to overstate it, but if ever there was a time where it could click for him a little bit, hopefully it's, if he's taking it personal. So, but yeah, that's kind of the long or the short of it at this moment.
Well, and they're in two very different roles now, even if they've had very similar careers statistically, because Tyler is expected to carry. Darius Garland doesn't have to carry.
Yeah.
He's got Mitchell, they've got Mobley. I mean,
the Heat kind of owe it to Bam and Tyler to get a guy to carry, but that's a whole nother pot.
Another conversation. I mean, Ty Jerome scored 28 points in game 1, right? I mean, Darius Garland does not have to carry, and Darius Garland's played well in this series. That's not the issue, but there's also a lot of video out there just from the first 2 games of the Heat picking on Darius Garland. And I know, right. And I also know that our guy, John Jablanca, cited this, and he's right, that the defensive field goal percentage numbers are often skewed because it's like who's closest to the player. Sometimes it's not the primary player guarding. There's a switch, all that kind of stuff. So I want to acknowledge that. But even with that said, the field goal percentage the Heat have had against Darius Garland is almost where the Cavs field goal percentage is against Tyler Herro in this series. So it did feel to me like, right, okay, the message, I don't have a problem with the message. You want to get a little chippy about this. But the guy saying that's not the guy to say it. Like, this is not a great
Darius
defender.
Garland, that's basically, if you spot it, you got it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what this is, right? That's why I said it's a Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
Like, oh, bad defender. Oh, bad defender. Like, okay. I mean, but I guess this gets to a larger point. I know you're mentioning this with the contract. We'll get to that on the other side. It gets to a larger point because there are some Heat fans, and I polled this, by the way, and of course, Heat fans, no matter, we know Tyler's polarizing even within the Heat fan base. A lot of it is because his fans, his stands, so to speak, you can't talk to them, and his haters, you can't talk to them. Okay, he's very polarizing. It's like a Tua thing, right? Even as being an all-star this year. But even with that, Heat fans, even though they will have their own civil war, if somebody attacks one of theirs, then they jump to that person's defense. And Spo is always the one I mention with this because Heat fans will criticize Spo all day long. And if somebody out there doesn't call Spo the best coach in the league, you have to basically, like, the pitchforks come out, right? Okay. The same with Bam, right? Complaints about Bam and scoring and this and that. But God forbid somebody else gets more votes than Bam in something. It's not Bam's fault. It's the Heat's fault for not promoting him, right? This is this cycle that runs here, okay? And with Tyler, there is this anti-Tyler, section of the fan base, right? And yet when I polled this, it's up to 2,000 votes. Who's the better player, Tyler Herro or Darius Garland? It's 75% Tyler Herro. Yeah. Because Heat fans will do that. But I could put out Terry Rozier and Michael Jordan, and it would probably be 50-50. And
that would be pretty funny.
Well, I should do that. And some Heat fans will say, well, Michael's 60. So, that would be their excuse on it. Although I'd still give the advantage to Michael. But that's kind of where this is. And so Heat fans are rallying to Tyler's defense, and that's fine. And I'm fine that Tyler sticks up for himself. Like, he has stuck up for himself in the past. And he's basically putting it out there. He's like, you're not that good either. Now, I guess the larger question, and I know you want to get this on the other side of the break, is, wouldn't it be better just to be good at it than have to say someone else is not good at it? Because there are some Heat fans that are the anti-Tyler crowd is saying that. So we'll get to that after the break. We do want to mention a great sponsor of the 5 Reasons Sports Network, our friends over at Water Cleanup of Florida. You can find them at WCUFL.com. It's WCUFL.com, your one-stop water and mold cleanup shop. Water Cleanup is your place to go if you have a leak, but even beforehand, make sure your home or business is fortified. They're based in Boca Raton. Michael and Robert, they service the entire Tri-County area. More than 100, more than 200 5-star reviews on Google. Those are hard to get. People like to complain, right? Okay, I mean, trust me, they're not complaining about water cleanup. So reach out to them. If they can't do the job, they will let you know. Huge Miami Heat fans, again, based in Boca Raton. It's WCUFL.com. Make sure you mention 5 Reasons. And here's the deal. If you've got the schmutz,
they got the guts.
All right. So to that point, because I know you have a larger point to make here about Tyler. Do we think Tyler Herro competes on defense?
I think, yes, he does. He's a competitor. Like, that's the one thing about Tyler is that his competitive edge, I think, has been good for him. But he usually funnels it all towards offense. So,
right. But I do think he tries on defense. I don't see a lot of clips like let's look back, like a James Harden. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not like when they used to get upset at where Hassan was standing in the wrong spot. It's not that. It's like just his limitations are his limitations. And when they pick on a guy, especially in a series, like it's hard to unravel that once you get it going because you're playing the same team over and over again. So they're going to exploit and target what they, think is the easiest to exploit. So then Tyler gets highlighted. So that they got to figure that out. And it's probably just they need more talent on both sides of the ball, the basketball. But yeah, it's
I mean, one of our keys, Greg, between game 1 and game 2 was they need to protect Tyler Herro. Like that. This is not. It's not like we're not. But it's not like we're failing to acknowledge the fact that he's the weak link defensively. But I do think for people to say, "Well, play better defense," it's what you said. He has certain limitations. I think he plays hard within the confines of his limitations. I don't think he's a guy who's dogging it defensively, right? Okay, and I also don't think he's a guy who's in space defensively. Because you mentioned Hassan, we see it sometimes with Ware. We used to see it with Michael Beasley. Okay, Michael Beasley had the capability to be a decent defender. He didn't care. Okay, he didn't know where to go and all that. Like, this is not that. Like, I do think Tyler competes. He's pretty good off the ball at times. He makes plays. Look, even that shot that people hated that he took towards the end of the regular season, that crazy shot, the pull up from when he was like, by himself. Okay, he created the turnover. Like, he had a steal that got himself out in transition. I don't think he's a lazy defender. I don't.
No,
I watched Darius Garland today on some of those clips. I think he's more athletically gifted than Tyler. I think Darius Garland at times looks like a lazy defender.
He stands around more. That's the thing about Tyler. Like, when we talk about things that upset, particularly the Miami Heat when they evaluate defense, to me, it's being in the wrong place at the wrong time and standing around. Those are the two things you can't do. They're non-negotiables. So Tyler doesn't stand around. Garland does tend to kind of hover and just kind of bounce around in the lane and watch what's happening versus getting in the scrum or, being necessarily a guy who's moving around the court a lot on the defensive end.
Also, Heat fans got angry at Tyler for hurting himself diving for a loose ball.
Yeah.
2 postseasons ago. I don't think that this is Tyler not caring about his defense. Spoelstra has spoken about it. Trust me. Spo doesn't criticize his players publicly. We know that. He praises individually and he criticizes collectively. That's the way he does these things. But he doesn't say a guy tries hard at defense if he doesn't, because that's the one place that Spo is very particular about. And he has said on numerous occasions, including last week, that Tyler puts a lot of effort into his defense. So, again, look, everybody has deficiencies in life. I can't cook. Okay. I don't clean particularly well. I could be better at all of it. And I've been criticized for it over the course of my life. Okay. That's on me. I'm capable. I have 2 arms. Okay. My eyes work and all that kind of stuff. If I wanted to follow directions and follow a recipe and actually pick up the clothes that are sitting on the floor of my bedroom, I could do that. Okay. I deserve criticism for that. Okay. But if I was incapable of doing those things physically, okay, or not as capable as someone else, then that's a different story. Okay. And then I would deserve a little bit more grace. I think in this case, Tyler Herro deserves a little bit more grace for that. It doesn't mean that you don't hope that he improves defensively. You do, but I don't see the lack of effort or caring from him that I see from some other defenders around the league, like say Trae Young, who is limited. Right? Who is limited, even more limited than Tyler because he's shorter. He's okay, and all the rest of this.
But also
doesn't try.
Yeah.
Literally doesn't try. Like Davion Mitchell got that rebound, right? Like missed the shot. And like Trae just stood there and Davion got the rebound over him. And I had a text from a Heat person that night who said, this is why we don't want Trae Young. Okay. They're not saying that about Tyler.
No,
they're just right. So I just
he's averaging 30 in the playoffs. Like let's also acknowledge that offensively he's been good. I know that it hasn't resulted in wins, and ultimately that's what makes Heat fans tick. So hopefully they can. I hope this whole Garland Herro thing is just what they need to get a little angry, because I think this team needs to see what they look like when they're riled up. And I just watching Detroit, New York, and then watching the vibes in this series, it's just 2 different worlds in terms of intensity. And so I'm hoping that the Heat turn it up in game 3 and Tyler leads that. He's got an opportunity. And then he could say during extension talks, I should be paid more than that guy, Darius Garland, not equal to.
Okay, so I'm going to let you close this, and then we're going to get to Michael McCullough, who I spoke to a couple days ago about White Hot, so everybody can understand what's going on here at the arena for games 3 and 4. Of course, Saturday, 1 o'clock. Monday, it looks like to be 7:30 now, actually. It was going to be 7, but then Memphis blew that lead, and so that changed the TV schedule. But you had a thought here regarding the extension. And see, this is where it does matter, because I'm trying not to be too critical of Tyler for his limitations, right? And, if he's giving effort, but the limitations are the limitations. And so then you have to decide how much you want to actually pay a player. We did a whole podcast about Tyler, and I said that right now I would say that you make an offer about $35 million a year. That's about where I think it starts and probably ends up at about $40 million a year. And I think if you got Tyler for $40 million a year with a TV contract going up, I think you'd feel okay about that. $50 million a year to me is a little rich.
I'm alive.
Is that how you feel because of the defense primarily?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just it's a point of clarification that I don't want to make it more than it is or put it ahead of the analysis of this series. Frankly, it's just something that as we're getting through this topic, Darius Garland is paid a certain amount. There's other guys around the league that are paid certain amounts. And I think that Tyler has been pretty open when he, mentioned wanting to be in the same, in the same conversations as Luka and Trey. He's not shied away from that kind of stuff. And so I just think that this is the overarching point for me. And I think that the Heat, I get the sense that this is part of their thinking, that they're going to draw a hard line on the sand on who they give, like, quote unquote, max money to. I think that there is going to be a short list. It's not going to be that they just shell out the full extent of anybody's potential earnings. Bam has been getting that so far because they think he's the best player on earth on one side of the basketball. And Tyler's great offensively, but he's not the best offensive player in basketball. So I just think that that's why they've justified maxing Bam, and we'll see what that looks like going forward. But I think that they will continue to. But with Tyler, you can't get picked on and openly talked about being picked on, and that be what comes to fruition in a series as you lose this year and let's say next, and then ask for max money. That's just, and I hate to take it to the contract stuff. Let's stick to basketball, but that's just a point that I think is important as we look ahead.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And so I think this could be nuanced. You can say the man's trying on defense.
Yes.
Okay. While he's being asked to carry the offense. And you can also say that max money in this league should be reserved for the elite two-way players.
Yes.
That's where I'm at. Max money should be reserved for the Giannis Antetokounmpos, okay, and the healthy Kawhi Leonards, and LeBron James. He doesn't do as much defensively anymore, but obviously overwhelming in pedigree, and we're going to put Tyler in the same category, right? And some will say, okay, Luka, but again, Luka is overwhelming offensively, so that's a different story, as is Jokic. And so the fact Luka is lazy on defense. Luka's lazier than Tyler is on defense, but he's a little bigger, okay? And again, it doesn't matter when he's giving you 35, 12, and 8, all right? It's a little bit of a different story.
It's kind of how the Heat think of Bam and what he gives defensively. That's how much they value it. That it's some of it when people get really upset about how he plays offensively. Spoelstra, is valuing the defensive stuff at a level that I don't know that everybody necessarily measures it the same way that they do.
Yeah, that's true. And our frustration with Bam offensively, which is a whole nother episode, which we may do, is it's just it's the lack of aggression, and in some areas improvement that you want to see from him offensively. I don't think. Let me put it this way. I think Tyler has more physical limitations that make it harder for him to improve defensively than Bam has to improve offensively. Is that fair? And that's why I expect,
especially if they get a setup man for Bam, that would be nice.
Right. So we can make the excuses about how well they don't get it, they don't feed them the ball, nobody can throw a lob, and Spo doesn't feature him and all that. And we've had those conversations. I know Alex feels strongly about a lot of that stuff and has. But I give Tyler a little bit more of a pass on the defense than I give Bam sometimes for the offense, because I've seen Bam be capable physically.
We know it's in there.
It's in there. Yeah. Okay. But other than it being put in it not likely to be earned incentive, where Tyler Herro could get more money for being defensive player of the year, nobody has put defensive star and Tyler Herro in the same sentence. Bam, we've talked about the possibility of him being a consistent 22 to 24 point scorer at this stage. I don't know that we're ever going to see it, but I don't think there are physical limitations stopping him from doing that. Okay. I think sometimes it's in his head, and sometimes it's just not refining certain parts of his game, and sometimes it's people not getting him as involved as he should be. So it's all of that. All right, we talked to Mike McCullough. We're gonna get to that interview now. So if you're getting out there, you should leave as soon as you finish listening to this podcast. Just go to Miami right now, because I don't know what's going on down there this weekend, but whatever it is, it's traffic. Have a good one, everyone.